The All-Star game and All-Star weekend have come and gone, and now we have some more interesting comments from Giannis as it pertains to the Milwaukee Bucks. And he basically says he'd love to stay in Milwaukee. He wants to win a championship with Milwaukee, but maybe things will change. If I had a nickel for every time Giannis said something like that, I'd have like 6 nickels, but still, that's more than one. In all seriousness, cringe aside, I think that's mostly been the case. I think that has always been the through line here, is that his heart is in Milwaukee. He would love to win in Milwaukee, but I think he's come to terms with the fact he's getting older. Time is running out. He won't be in his prime for much longer. Maybe he's got a few more years, but you get the point. He's on the back half of that, and it's tough to win championships. And you can tell, especially if you're a guy like him that's won a championship, if your team is built to win a championship, right? And I think a lot of that is that he keeps on saying these, but they may get tired of me, but they may want to trade me. People say he doesn't want to be the bad guy with the fan base and the media. Maybe that's some of it, sure, right? But I think a lot of that in those two-sided wishy-washy statements is him trying to keep the organization's feet to the fire and make sure that they're not comfortable, right? They're not assuming anything, that he'll stay, etc. Even if that is what he would like, he will have to keep that option open. And there's nothing wrong with having that optionality, right? So we're going to watch this video, comment on it from there. But on a side note, let me know in the comments down below. We didn't get around to doing it. And frankly, now with YouTube, the way the cycles work for news, it's too late. Trevor is on a vacation right now, so kind of hard to link up with him. He's got bad Wi-Fi. We didn't get around to doing a video on the All-Star game. Let me know your thoughts on it. Quick note on that. I thought it was really fun to watch. I turned it on for just a couple minutes just to see if they wanted to play and if they were just out there BSing, right? But you didn't see a lot of those highlight breakaway dunks and this is that because the guys were trying to play. I saw dudes picking up full court. I was like, oh, they're trying to play today. So I watched the games and I was like, you know what? This is pretty fun. So I think they may have found something. The problem is they always find something for like a year or two and then it gets stale or they have to switch it up, right? Like I thought that was how the all-star captain stuff was for the first couple of years. And previously, even if you go back to all-star games of past eras, a lot of times it's like the fourth quarter is when these guys lock in and they stop giving so many concessions and all that stuff. You can go ahead and watch that stuff. Just fact check that if you want. But anyway, that was largely also the case there. We even had those, Elam ending games, same deal. There were some really fun endings to those games and stuff like that, but they were not really competitive for at least the first half of the game. They were just kind of doing whatever, but then they ended on a high note. And I thought that, the way it ended, people were pretty up on it, but ultimately those run stale and they have to switch it out. So it is unfortunate that they can't have consistency, but I think they found another format that works pretty good. Shout out to Kawhi. It's unfortunate he's been unhealthy, had these controversies around him because that guy is insanely good, bro. Like, I'm always so neutral with that stuff. I just enjoy hoops, and Kawhi he's so good. He's got such an aesthetically pleasing game as well. His pull-up is insane. Like, he's really good. All right. On Giannis, let's go ahead and talk about it. So we're going to watch this video. The quote says, Giannis says he really wants to win a championship with the Bucks, but might have to pivot to another option if he's not able to win another one in Milwaukee.
You're not okay with staying in Milwaukee and never having that feeling?
No. I want to win what? The most important thing, I want to win a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks. And if that's not on the table or in the plans, so that's when you kind of like, okay, maybe I got to pivot because I really want to win.
You're not okay with staying in Milwaukee and never having that feeling?
No.
I just wanted to hear that initial question. She asks him, I don't know the context around that, probably around the last time he won a chip or something. She says, you're not okay staying in Milwaukee and never, ever having that feeling again. And he's like, nah. I would love to win in Milwaukee. And he's very direct with this. But then when he's like, I may have to pivot, he sounds very reluctant. Like he doesn't really want to do that. I'm not a psychologist. It sounds like a man that doesn't really want to have to go down that route, right? And that's absolutely fair. Trevor said on this channel that we would be perfectly fine with Giannis deciding to stay. Obviously, he's not making his decision on us, right? But frankly, we want more guys to stay. It's fun to see trades, but there's not a lot of these guys that are these superstar level players staying with one org their entire way through. A lot of things have to happen for that to work out that way. There's got to be mutual trust on both sides. There's got to be a willingness to put assets on the table to compete year in and year out, like all these different things to make it work like that for these generational guys. And there's also not very many of these guys in the first place that are going to be, 15-year stars or whatever. But for Giannis, he is one of those guys. And I'd love to see him be in Milwaukee and ultimately win. The problem with that is it's just kind of hard to do. We're going to take a look at that in a minute, but it's just so hard to accomplish, right? But I've got to say, I'm just not a big fan. Like I've said so many times, I'm going to keep it short, of the wishy-washiness. I explain why he does it, in my opinion, but I just don't love it. I would just love for him to say, I would love to win in Milwaukee. Because if you're Giannis, if you don't want trade rumors out there, these things, you have the ability to come out and just shut it down. All it takes is one statement from you. Now, maybe some teams would still hope that you change your mind and prepare accordingly, but you have the ability to come out and say things that would skew that, right? But you don't. And it's because if you're Giannis, that doesn't do you any favors. You want as much around you as possible so that all the options are open. Everyone is watching this very public process, and that works in your favor. And then at the end, you're the good guy because you didn't ask for a trade. They put the pieces around you that you wanted. That's all you ever really wanted, regardless of how you got there. And hopefully you compete and you win, right? And then if it does go sour, you've said so many times that your heart is in Milwaukee. You don't want to leave, but if it doesn't if they can't put a good team around you, then you may have to leave. You've said it so many times. It's like, damn, we can't blame you, right? So it's kind of a win-win situation you're in. So that's kind of, again, why he does it. I don't think that's fair to the fan base to always be like, oh yeah, I would love, but things could change, right? Like it's, whoa, right? That's just the way I see it. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Bucks, their books, all that fun stuff in just a moment, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. I wanted to let you know that Sleeper is the #1 best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all of your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on games in real time with other users. Get the fastest scores, blazing fast news, and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and explore team picks markets within the app so you can enjoy sports the way they are meant to be enjoyed, which is together. Sign up today using promo code Bulletin and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Team picks are part of Sleeper's regulated activities. They involve risk and outcomes are not guaranteed. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Okay, so a big thing with the Milwaukee Bucks is that they actually have freaking Damian Lillard on their books for the next handful of years or whatever, making $20 million. And they're going to be paying him that amount regardless. So automatically, you are limiting your flexibility by that move and Dame's salary. I think that's very important to what they're able to do. Now, in the immediate future, they are going to go ahead and tank for the rest of this season and get the draft pick that is available to them. That's a no-brainer. That's going to be a nice talent infusion and some youth as well. They're going to go from there. Now, in terms of the book, oh my God, 22 million, 22. He's just casually there, bro. That's insane. I didn't even realize he was on the page. But going from there, they've got some player options they need to sort out. Kevin Porter, player option. They've got Gary Harris, Gary Trent, Taurean Prince. All these guys have player options. Same with Jericho Sims. None of these players make a significant amount of salary to where you can't do anything with that, move them, etc., or in any way that they're going to make a big splash in your books. I'm not really sure that those matter all too much. But a player that you would like to get off of would be Kyle Kuzma, who during the offseason turns into a $20 million expiring salary. If you could maybe combo him with Bobby, you could bring back a pretty well, like $35 million player, roughly in that range, just purely on matching, which could be pretty good. You get a nice player for that amount of money, or other pieces that fit better around you. I think a lot of your shooting and role players are going to come back on those player options that you see here, Kevin Porter, etc. They also have to figure out what's happening with Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas, I think, would be a nice pickup for them, but he also could be a guy that they just have eat some of the space that they have going forward, because he's going to definitely be looking for a raise. And especially if he keeps on lighting it up the way he did for the Bucks as well, he's going to definitely be another guy. And they've got like this 3-4 guard, core that's like scoring guards that are back there. So I think that's pretty interesting as well. So maybe with Giannis as your lone star, with Miles Turner having a regression to actual Miles Turner, not this imposter that we've seen this season, I think maybe you could be a really good competitive team, but it's still going to be a situation where Giannis is going to have to backpack this team, which I'm not sure he wants to do. They've tried to put other guards around Giannis. It didn't work out so great with Dame. There's a lot of different reasons why, like play style fits and things like that. But maybe if they were to try to target another guard, because there were a number that didn't get traded that were openly on the market, like a Ja Morant or something, maybe they can make something work there. And, Ja has a regression to actual Ja again as well. And all of a sudden you've got, the second star with Giannis, the spacing, all that stuff will be clunky, but the talent play is there. And Milwaukee may be just desperate enough to make that happen with Giannis. Ultimately, this is where it's tricky with Giannis ultimately being 1 year removed from being a player on a player option, $62 million the following season. So that they're going to have some tough decisions to make. And frankly, if Giannis is on a $58 million expiring deal, basically, because you would expect for him to leverage that player option, if he won't extend, he's going to decline that because he can get a max from wherever he wants to go, right? Because he's going to be eligible for an extension, I believe, this offseason. If he does not extend at that point, frankly, if they're not able to put together a team, it will be malpractice. Like literally, it would be malpractice if they're not able to extend Giannis if they don't trade him. That would need to come from the Bucks side of things. Like that would need to be an organizational shift. You can't let him just play out that $58 million next summer or next season and then come off that the following summer of 27-28 and say, hey, I'm a free agent. Maybe he'll sign and trade somewhere. You can get something back in that regard. But yeah, I don't think that if you're not able to put together a contender this offseason, you may have to flip Giannis. But apparently they very openly think that they can put together a team like that. So frankly, I want to see them do it. I want to see what that looks like, how they can pull it off, because they pulled a rabbit out of the hat to get Miles Turner. And they called on a provision teams do not use very often. They stretch that salary for Dame. Teams don't do that for salaries that size, right? So I'm really curious about what other decisions they make for Giannis and to try to keep Giannis, keep him happy, etc. So we're going to kind of go through this kind of quickly here, but shout out to Detroit being so amazing this season. I believe it was last season, if not the season prior, where they had one of the worst seasons ever, one of the worst stretches ever in a season, etc. Quite the turnaround, absolute turnaround. And I really like how they built upon what they had last season where they were, it was the year prior, built upon what they had last season where they were really good as well, but just obviously not there yet. I really like how they doubled down on that, got some more talent. They could still use some more shooting, but I do like the progression that they have there and the direction that they have. There's one potential downfall. Their one potential downfall is that the core led by Cade lacks playoff experience. In fact, Cunningham has just one playoff series under his belt, a 7-game playoff series loss to the Knicks last season. That doesn't faze Thomas at all. So they did interview Isiah Thomas. And yeah, that's huge. Like a lot of times you don't see a team just make it outright to a championship. They don't do that. They don't just start up, maybe just go one season competitive and then make it to the finals and then win a championship. That's not really how that goes. You need your bumps and bruises. You need your losses. That's just normally the standard progression. So I wouldn't bet on it or expect Detroit to win it all this season. But the good news is if they keep making smart decisions, they'll be in this situation, this position for a number of years to come where they could walk away with it. And teams typically, again, will lose a few times and then they'll figure out everything they need. They'll get the experience and then they'll win. That's just normal, right? And a lot of times your superstar players are winning around like 27 or so. Like that's just kind of standard. That's not a concern at all, said Thomas in a one-on-one interview with r.org. They have the know-how, and what I mean by know-how, they know how to win. Cade Cunningham is possibly MVP of the league. They got Jalen Duren, who's an all-star. They got Isaiah Stewart, who could be the defensive player of the year. Also, they covered in every area they got. They're covered in every area they got. They got great coaching. I just don't think the lack of playoff experience will be a problem, Thomas continued. I think the playoff experience that they got last year against the Knicks, they're ready, and they're primed to do big things. Thomas is also very high on Cunningham, referring to him as an old school player. That's the ultimate compliment from a guy that Michael Jordan once referred to as the second best point guard of all time behind Magic Johnson. Cade is an old school player. He's a guy that can eat. He can eat his food without eating yours. Most players today want to eat their food and eat yours too, not Cade. Cade eats what's on his plate. Somebody was hungry, and then he has the ability to share sometimes also. Someone was hungry. That is from Isiah Thomas. My bad. I forgot that I needed to switch over with the share. Somebody was starving. So he basically downplays. Like I said, there are things that you need to do typically in order to win. You need your bumps and bruises. He downplays that outright. He says he doesn't think that matters. I guess this season will prove whether or not that matters or not. And the annoying thing about coming out of the East, especially if you don't match up with the other top team, the East is always very top heavy, right? The West has legitimately like 8 teams, I think. In the perfect scenario, could be very good conference type teams, right? The East maybe has like 4, right? So that's kind of the one thing about it. So you may fool yourself into thinking you have a better chance if you have a good, clean run to the finals, and you could make it there, but you are going to come up against a real battle-tested juggernaut that made it through the harder conference. And if they're healthy, you're gonna get punched in the mouth, probably. That's not a Detroit thing. That's just an Eastern Conference thing. That's not so much about Detroit. Wasn't meant to be a knock on them. It's just, again, an Eastern thing. But again, they've taken everything available to them and played tremendously well. So we'll see ultimately what winds up happening, as ultimately it's been my favorite word to say in these videos. Thank you so much. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and ultimately, if you haven't already, check out our video from yesterday where Trevor and I ultimately... Okay, I'm done. Peace.